professionalinvestor.com's daily brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the insanity. Insane in the membrane. Bitcoin's going to the moon. Look out. Round. There it goes. Actually, some of these altcoins are going absolutely nuts here. So I do believe the crypto winter is slowly coming back to an end. Yay! Woohoo! Party! Sure makes you feel a hell of a lot better to participate in the capitalist process. I'm a little leery, though, to be perfectly honest with you. We are in this eclipse window, and you can see how the broader legacy markets are just getting their heads handed to them these days. So I don't know how much longer this can go on, but one thing I did notice yesterday, and actually I need to pull up the YouTube page so I can see what the heck's going on over there. A little bit messy on my part here this first thing this morning. Actually taught a class yesterday, short options trading strategies. Good old Brian's WDB model. I haven't ran that in a while, so it's great chatting with students about that. Let's see. All right, we got the YouTube page all operating. There's our usual. Hey, DMAC. So let's try and make DMAC happy today. He was pretty angry with me yesterday. Let's have a rampage. Well, according to you yesterday, maybe a little less rants and a little bit more quality product for the viewing audience. Valued viewers, anyway, do appreciate your guys' feedback. I'm trying as best as I can here. Obviously, I haven't made the inroads into the social media game as well as other people. But you know, Brian, he's a bit of a weirdo anyway. So anyway, hopefully you enjoy the comic stylings, edutainment. I think that's what we called it in the past. Yeah, so one of our members banging out some nice wins in crypto land. I gotta say, crypto land's looking pretty damn uppy. Actually, it's interesting that I was I think about if you watch the videos on a regular basis, all you regulars over there on YouTube, you probably remember I specifically said that I wanted to see a retest of these lows. I didn't like how the market was making a V bottom here, and in essence, that's exactly what we got. And what's really interesting about this is now if we can get this slow moving average down here, because you know fast is already oversold, this is going to set up one hell of a historical W bottom. And then, you know, in the typical fashion, like most momentum oscillators, like you think of like RSI or, you know, stochastic or anything like that, we get to turn back up and we go through the 50 line here. Oh my goodness, the stock market could go into absolute uber insane mode. And I wonder, because we've often talked about how crypto is an interesting leading indicator. So I wonder whether crypto itself is sort of giving the market a hint. Hey, you better pay attention because the bull is about to come back big time here. You know, you've heard me also talk about we like to watch the country funds. And we know that there's a bottom in the market if you see the country funds and country funds for global equities, both in the short term and the medium term, spit out oversold conditions, which basically looks like that's happening. So again, that's sort of aligning with this whole kind of idea that we might be coming into one hell of a cyclical bottom here. And then I suppose the final piece to the puzzle, again, can we get that teal? We've got short term approaching oversold, not quite on the US market. Medium term, I'd still like to see it get kicked in the pants a little bit more here. And if we got that signal, then I'd know that we have a long-term cyclical bottom in US stock market. As I had said, with regard to if we pull up the Bitcoin chart, it's pretty obvious. Let's see, I guess over here. Where are we here? Yeah, this chart here. We are fast approaching the lunar eclipse. And I do see, it's interesting. You look around the world, and I do see the humans acting awfully stupid through all this event. I don't know whether, I mean, actually, it's been quite a while since we've had a Bitcoin rally to this degree. What are we? She's about 9 Gs here. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 days. I mean, I suppose, there's one guy, I think I told you in some recent videos, one guy who's made a grand prediction that this thing will be over $100,000 by the end of the year. I mean, I'm not really like those kind of, I really dislike the whole idea of getting into the prediction game. If he's right, then everybody's going to think he walks on water. If he's wrong, probably he's going to lose a couple subscribers on social media or whatever. As it stands right now, man, I still don't think you should step in front of this thing. And in fact, when I did I do a write up of the major markets every morning in sort of my routine. That's school stuff. Where I've got so many spreadsheets, it's ridiculous. But this is my normal morning routine. We were thinking about doing a boot camp to sort of teach people how to sort of set themselves up for trading. What does a day trader's life look like, an education program in person. So I have been trying to go through the process, actually set up one of these Top Step combines just to prove that, yes, I can still make money from trading, that kind of thing. And I do like being under their microscope, so it's completely third party, unaudited by them. And I think I'm up about, I don't know, $200-300 on the current combine, which that actually to me is perfectly fine, because the most important thing is you don't want to lose money if you're trading other people's money. So I can say I'm up about $300 on this little funny little piddly account that I'm trading. But you always want to show a positive balance, right? You don't want to lose money. And I would just simply call that a scratch trader. And then what's really interesting, it's taken me about a month or so to get back up on my feet and get going again. But hopefully you guys can see, and I try to show you guys this on a regular basis. You got to get into this routine. And as I said there a moment ago, this morning, in fact, yesterday I was a bit sloppy. I did not go through my entire routine yesterday. I sort of finished my analysis at crude, and then I was just we took a nice opening range trade there yesterday, and then I kind of stepped on my own toes, and including things like you better follow your demon finder. The only way that you're gonna deal with and correct mistakes, and you can see, if anything, I'm being quite democratic about my mistakes. They're all over the map, but the point here is that you got to track your mistakes. And yesterday, actually, I moved my stop too early, and geez, I left probably easily a few $100s, to say the least, on the table on that little combine account, just because I was too hasty in getting out. But anyway, that's the way it goes. Had a nice setup this morning, so I do like working with Chris, my trading partner in the crude oil opening range trade. This one pretty straightforward. Soon as we hit 1-to-1, generally speaking, we sort of have a rule to move stop to scratch, but I like trading these multiple contracts now on the micros. So I do pay myself a little bit, then move my stop to scratch. So we got stopped out at scratch on this. It's just a typical opening range trade. Sometimes, like yesterday, this thing just went, one direction and never looked back. In this particular case, we did look back, and it turns out after the fact, crude oil's all over the map here today. So I feel pretty good about that. I think for the record, I took 17 ticks from the market. So what the hell? Can't complain. Got stopped on scratch on the remaining, and tomorrow's another opening range trade day for us to consider. Do have a lot of really big econs that we've been sort of humming and hawing about coming down the pike here tomorrow morning. So I don't know whether I'll be taking that opening range trade because I think we have some big econs coming out around that probably will inject a bunch of volatility into the market. One thing I actually have to work on myself, although this probably isn't the venue to do this, we just want to do a market overview. So, market overview, my day trading. I took a few bucks from the market today, feeling positive. Again, you want to just generally see the account balance is positive, and you're heading in a positive direction. So, I feel pretty good about that. What I wanted to show you was, I go through this routine of analyzing levels on the 4-hour chart and the daily chart, and then based on levels, I think trade location is absolutely the most important reason to justify taking a trade. So based on that, when I go through this process, then I can at least identify where I could take a trade. And you can see on Bitcoin here, for instance, sitting at 24.6. I could justify maybe stepping in and letting them have some above 35 up top there. And that kind of speaks to the conversation that we were having yesterday, in that looking at these charts, we're way too early to call a top here. But I basically said that what I need to see for me to actually justify actually thinking about shorting is I have to start seeing, we've got trade location. Like I said, we're up here around 35. In this case, the spot market 36 is an ABCD objective. So up in this area, I don't mind hunting location, but what now we have to see is all the indicators start to indicate that, yes, indeed, we are done. And that usually is a case of market will move to higher highs, but you'll see that your momentum indicators do not, and they are overbought, and it's basically saying, get ready, the poop's about to hit the fan. So I don't see that yet. You can see how the MACD indicator is starting to curl back up as we move higher. If anything, I wouldn't mind they go and take this high out. There's probably some people that did short this, and there's a cheap liquidity pool up there. But if we do get that move and then MACD does not go through this high and then it rolls over, then we can start screaming divergence, and then we look for M's and trendline breaks and LJs and all that kind of fun stuff. You can see Willie is officially stupidly overbought. RSI is parked heavily in the overbought zone. So I could see, and it makes sense because, the eclipse is coming up here in now less than a week. And I do believe that the US Federal Reserve is going to come out and shit all over us. And that's going to be the end of whatever the move was that transpired here, setting up. I mean, it's almost cliche the way they do this month in, month out. Usually what happens is the US dollar gets ridiculously overbought, and then they spend like a couple weeks convincing everybody that the US dollar has topped out. And you can see there is M tops working here. I wouldn't be surprised over the next couple of days we get some sort of pullback here in the US dollar. And then heading into the Fed, right, they'll have everybody thinking short. That's it. The US dollar rallies over. And then the Fed does its thing, and then the damn US dollar takes off again. I would say today is kind of an odd day in that we do have a bunch of these central planner speakers talking today. I always do that. I pull up this silly school spreadsheet. It's not that one. I guess, where were we? I guess we were over here. Yeah, there we go. So a little bit leery about falling too much in love with what I'm seeing in the market today. Today is another one of these sort of lack of a lot of news. So, we had things like, when I pull this up first thing in the morning, so you can see actually just about exactly when I wake up. I was up damn early this morning. I don't know what it is with my crazy internal clock these days. But we've got the Bank of Canada interest rate decision. Oh boy, there's a big one, right? And the Matador saying the lunar eclipse is on the 28th. not the 30th. All right, well, I stand corrected. In your face. Where's that? That's over here. Look at that. Holy green dildos, eh, Batman? Actually, and this is an interesting anecdote because I was wondering for the longest time if we were going to go and hit that head and shoulders objective, and doink, it just got hit there. And actually, we're coming in on the 38.2 and a mountain man level. So, man, we're coming into some pretty important levels here on the corn. But let's go and correct that notation. Where the heck was that? I think that was over here, eh? So 28th. Oh yeah, that's I did have it on the 28th. What are you saying to me? So somebody's getting me all flustered here. All right, so it just makes sense coming into this eclipse. There's going to be some crazy ass blow off top. And actually, there's something that really jumped out at me about Bitcoin. But let's circle around in a couple minutes and come back to that, and I'll finish off with that talk. Econs news today. Not really much. We did have the Bank of Canada, obviously. They're doing their thing. Um, and I get the impression that the kind of the Rothschilds, 1%, whatever the heck you want to call it, I think that they're using the Bank of Canada as almost kind of like a telegraphing of sort of what the 1% global elite 1%'s plan is, and my leader in this country is basically a puppet of Klaus, who's probably got his nose so far up his butt, how the rest of all that goes. But let's go on over and see what the actual numbers came out as. So here we are Wednesday, and I like to look at least like 2-star, try and keep the numbers relatively in line. So new home sales, interestingly enough, it came out on an uptick. I think people were actually looking for the market to be a bit softer. It's not huge numbers. We were kind of talking about this in the actual in the TRI lounge this morning. I mean, big percentage moves. So that actually shocked the market a little bit. But if we actually look at these new home sales over like a historic period, that's not really a hell of a lot to get too excited about. I mean, this was the insanity of sort of that George Bush, everybody's going to have a home in America. And then very typical Republicans, let's go and fuck everybody over and just pull the rug out from everybody, and boom, collapse. I might even argue that this market here is still almost like in the reaction of this huge bull and then huge bear dump that and interestingly enough, easy way for you to remember the 50% rule is just take that number 1400, add it to that number, let's call it 300, 1700, just add them together and divide by 2, 850. So ironically enough, the 50% level, I talked to you guys at length, WD GAN, what you should expect. Really, all this has done is just a 50% bounce. It went a little bit higher, probably went up to like Mountain Man there. Then it has come back down against these lows. And probably what happens in the housing market is it just oscillates now around this 50% rule. That would be the logical thing to see happen here. And I get the impression that the housing story, it's yesterday's economy. I don't think this is the driving force of tomorrow's economy. Be interesting to see what the real drivers are. I hate to say it, but I think it's people like Bill Gates and stuff, and tech and growth and all that kind of stuff that are going to lead the charge. And I saw Microsoft was up quite a bit today. They came out with earnings and just smoked the market. That was your big econ out of the US. We did have oil inventories. Oil prices were all over the map. Did have a really, really cool level that I could have traded this morning if I was really on my game. My trading partner and I will slowly sort of, I asked for us to maybe make note of those ideal trade locations when we first get up in the morning, and then track how we do actually taking the trades at those levels going forward. But the actual release date, and of course, if you do these prop firm kind of things, you got to be out of the market when this event happens. if you happen to trade crude. So after the opening range trade, I sort of was like, okay, I'll just go on pause. I think there was actually, well, I don't know. I mean, it's tough to say. I didn't really see any setups setting up for me per se in the crude oil market following that event. You can see there was my awesome level 78.6. Here was the opening range. Actually, there was the pit open there. Took a few ticks from the market, rallied back up, and actually flushed out a lot of the opening range trade people. But there was my killer level right there, and that translated into this move all the way down here. Like, wow. And interesting too. Like, so there was the fundamental event, the EIA release. And had you taken anything through that, you can see it's just chop Vegas. If you went long, great, you were looking good, and then you just got bitch slapped. If you went short, because that theoretically was a bearish number, you got bitch slapped right out of the gate. So I'm a little bit leery to read too much into this market right now. In fact, we could probably even just extend that. And maybe if we get some sort of structural failure, because you can now see the divs are starting to come in. Willie is stupidly overbought. So the problem here, though, is that we're getting later on in the day. So I don't know whether I'm actually going to do anything else in the crude market today. Interesting to see the tech stocks really got smoked here today, even though Microsoft came out with what I actually thought was a hell of a number. So, here's sort of your market carpet look. Maybe this is updated now. Actually, it looks a little better. It was a lot more red first thing this morning. Goog down almost 10%. Wow, what a collapse there. That was surprising. And I think the news specifically was their cloud, their sort of storage, kind of disappointed. I don't know whether we can actually pull that up. It is a bit surprising, because actually I was feeling like, geez, this Goog is on fire. I suppose you could argue there's a little M top that came in there just at the end of last week, but there's today's price action. Wow, kaboom. And the headlines, of course, are saying like is on track for the biggest daily loss in market value ever. Oh, that's a wonderful message. Parent Alphabet drags down the tech sector. So it was a bit of a surprise, but I think what I read was that their cloud storage numbers really disappointed, which is interesting, right? So there you go. Google stock tanks on cloud revenue miss. Because on the exact opposite note, Microsoft actually just smoked their number. So we have a nice matrix here of all these stocks that I like to watch. And there was Microsoft. Microsoft was up like $14 right out of the gate. So I haven't really been paying attention to the other components of the Dow. These are just mostly tech stocks. But one thing I did notice that kind of jumped out at me, and I wonder if Google is almost like a bit of a harbinger, because you can see that Amazon, who hasn't reported yet today, but they're getting thrown out, their baby out with the bathwater here on the basically on the inertia that, well, I guess if Google's cloud storage, Amazon's got that AWS service, maybe they're about to get absolutely bitch slapped. So it's really interesting to see how Amazon lost all these key lows. And what I find fascinating in this current market is notice that Amazon's chart looks almost identical to the QQQs. I mean, you can see there's all those key lows, and you can see the QQQs are threatening to push down lower here. And you can see the similarity in Amazon's chart and the QQQs. So this is leaving me scratching my head. I'm a bit surprised that they're dumping Amazon as hard as they are, and it hasn't even come out with their earnings yet. Now, I did see that there is an interesting legal issue going on with Meta and Facebook. And I wonder, and I think it actually has more to do with Instagram, but a whole bunch of states are all piling on. I don't know whether they've actually filed lawsuits or they're threatening to file lawsuits. I didn't catch that exactly. But the point here is that Meta's getting bitch slapped as well here today. So put it all together. I would have thought, because that Microsoft number was a very, very strong number. Market was looking for 265 in earnings, and the actual number came out 299, a 33%. Considering how big Microsoft is, for them to beat earnings by 33 cents or 12.5%, wow, that's a huge number. And so you see, Microsoft went absolutely crazy to the upside. But the Google number seems to be overshadowing that Microsoft performance. And I guess this is an even bigger miss and an even bigger number. And so as a result, it's dragging the entire sort of tech sector down with it. I don't know how this is going to play. Chris, I think, is trying to tell me we're winding out of time here. What I would just simply say is, remember going back to our breadth indicator, and where the hell is the breadth indicator? I know you're on here somewhere. Is it this one? Hey, there we go. I don't know whether I want to get too bearish down in here. Yes, we are still pointing lower, so I wouldn't get in front of that. I don't have any buy signals here, that's for sure. But I just wonder whether, if these are the big index ETFs, do you really want to step in and short here? I don't know. I mean, there's the original M top. There's another M top up there. Maybe you short the reload zone, counter trend rallies. I don't know whether I really want to get too bearish here. Same thing on the S&Ps. If we actually draw a trend channel, you notice, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. This is probably a good example here. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing comes and swoons like right into that end of October, into that eclipse event, into the Fed meeting, but that actually paints some sort of W, and then the damn market starts rallying here. So interesting disconnect going on in the market with sort of these risk on assets. And I think it actually looks like basically right across the board. We pop on over here. Very interesting disconnect going on here. Stock indexes, Russell 2000, basically the broader economy forging lower. There's your NASDAQ. It looks like the Dow is basically sideways through this, but you smush all of these together. S&P 500, ES is breaking lows. Bonds are not happy, so that's not helping the situation. Did notice that poor old consumers, right out of the gate, one of the first news headlines today, mortgage rates ticked up to 7.9% for the 30-year fix down in the States. Ain't no top anywhere in sight there. Interesting that this is happening, and yet the new home sales number came in better than expected. So I get the impression that those institutional guys are just buying up all the new homes that they possibly can. I don't know whether that's a winning strategy or not. I did show you that new home sales chart, and frankly speaking, I think it's just the middle of the road, but this is definitely kicking the consumer's butt. And I'm hearing all over the place that, in fact, I think the headline first thing this morning when I pulled up the rag here was, I think mortgage applications now are, U.S. mortgage demand lowest since 1995. So who the hell's buying up all these new houses? It's not the consumers. And of course, like I said, mortgage rates just ticked higher. So this is a very bizarre market right now that we're in. That's for darn sure. Anyway, bizarre. And I don't think, I mean, it's interesting, our inflation deflation gauge that I like to track, the tips versus the TLTs. Does this M out? It hasn't M'd out. Yeah, we tried to M out, and then we quickly W'd right after that quick M. We actually did go up and hit these upside objectives for the inflation deflation gauge. But I don't think we can really call a top in this and actually expect things to calm down. until this actually rolls over in earnest. And I hate to say it, but I actually think the most important thing out of this entire equation is what the hell do these energy prices do? Yeah, I mean, I can justify the idea of maybe like a swing trade or a day trade, hunting shorts. I don't know whether shorting crude oil here makes a lot of sense. All we've done here on the energy market is come right back down to the original double bottom that was put in there a week or so ago. We had this long tail that did nothing more than just fill in a price gap that needed filling in. Um, does this actually look like it's topped out? If anything, for us to really know that that inflation problem is put to bed, we need to see the crude oil price down below this $80 level, and that will put in a big top in the market. In fact, this actually also could be a harmonic boom, 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 boom. Now, we'll finish off with a conversation about crypto and Bitcoin and stuff. Is crypto a leading indicator? Is crypto, because one thing that's pretty important to Bitcoin, of course, is the cost of electricity and energy. And if they perceive that this energy market is actually stalling out and this really isn't a bull and actually might roll over, you might find that the crypto market is actually sort of front running that trade. I'd also say too that this image should support the stock market and risk assets in general bottoming and turning up. Our breadth indicator, of course, it's in a bit of a divergence right now because the stock market is not really overly happy. But, and I love to toot TRI's horn. This breadth indicator, when it turned up here, my goodness, that was one hell of a signal. And what's fascinating about this too is like the cryptocurrencies, right across the board, not just Bitcoin, but the cryptos themselves just look incredible here. I mean, look at that chart. That chart right there should just speak volumes to you. Darlings of late. Look at, remember we were getting all excited a week or two ago about that loom. Hopefully you can understand that that loom, I think, was actually a leading message. But the problem here is notice we went up and the loom came right back down. So is crypto going to do basically the same thing? Is a name like this going to go straight up and then straight back down? It's crypto and it's venture capital, so don't be shocked if you do see something like that. And this is such a great testament. You cannot buy this kind of market up here. You just can't do it. If you do, then one day, and it's Murphy's Law, the day that you do say, oh, fucking I screw that Beamish guy, I'm going to go chase, that next day, boom, back down she goes. I mean, it's coming. So, don't be Murphy. Murphy always gets his ass kicked. Somebody over there on YouTube wants Algorand as a nice pick there. Yeah, you can see W's are coming in. If you see the W's, that's when you want to start getting excited. So, there was this little one that I just happened to show you. It's already gone, so you can't chase that guy. But when the W's come in, pay attention. I did notice that this guy here, this is one of Eddie's. Actually, where is Eddie? He disappeared there the other day. I got to settle up with him. Got to send him some tethers. Anyway, Eddie, if you are watching this after the fact, reach out to me. So, I mean, I'm not going to go through the list here, but wow, there are some great looking names out there. In fact, a name that we are sort of barking about, and I'll get together with the guys from Coinigy for the show tonight, sort of trying to teach them the basics of, M's are bad and W's are good kind of idea. We had suggested that Joe pay attention to that link, and sure enough, I mean, that thing's taken off like a rocket. I don't know whether I have it on this list or my other list. I got too many of these darn lists. But gee whiz, that link sure just is rocking and rolling. And I think it's like this Oracle. There it is now. Look at that, up another 7% on the day. So, the worst part about this is now I actually have to start thinking about where do I have to take profits, because I'm long from like $6 or something like that and down in here. So you can see there she goes. I actually have to start thinking about banging out doubles. So, I mean, you can't chase that again. I think we'll obviously circle around, talk lots about these kind of names in the show this evening. So, if you are in North America or you're a night owl over there in Europe, be sure to tune in to the Coinigy show tonight, and we'll have lots of fun talking to Joe and trying to convince him of the merits of things like W's and price action. I tell you, the weekly W's, they're coming in hard and fast here in this crypto market. So we've been waiting basically 2 years doing absolutely nothing, right? Just waiting. And now finally you can see, look at that beautiful W there. It's just as plain as day. Thought we were going to get the breakout last year on this one, but nope. But this is a really good example of what we call a narrow sideways channel. So you can see, and the old adage in the market, of course, is the longer the channel, the bigger the run. So that's a pretty damn long channel. So, don't be surprised if you see this thing doing the fireworks. And like I said, this guy is basically in the same business. So, and you can see what he's done here recently as sort of a leading indicator. So you can see they're starting to come alive, and you better have your shit together, skirt together, I should say. Excuse me. And if you wanted to get in on the market at the bottoms, they're starting to come in, and don't be left behind, because once they go, you don't want to be sitting there going, "God damn it! I wish I had bought this W. I was so gonna do that." Don't be that guy. Okay. All right. Have yourselves a great day. I hope you enjoyed that. That was a good half hour or so. Crypto looks awesome here. Stock market itself, not so much, which is, like I said, very interesting disconnect going on here. But I think that we're getting close to some sort of pivot here in the stock market. And then if this thing's turned up and the stock market's turned up, oh boy, all hell's going to break loose. So sure hope you all got your rally caps on. I got my rally cap on. All right. Have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. Remember what your number one job is. Don't take no win nickels in. Bye for now.